I gazed at my reflection in the mirror and let out a deep sigh. As a top agent at Christie's International Real Estate, impeccable presentation is essential. I adjusted my blonde medium-length hair and checked my natural makeup, but there was no hiding the dark circles under my eyes. Another sleepless night, thanks to a message from Mother. Jenny, at your age, that figure is unacceptable. You should learn from Ashley. Again with the comparisons to my sister. Even at 32, they never end. Despite my track record of selling over $10 million worth of ultra-luxury properties in Manhattan annually, in Mother's eyes, I'm forever the inferior daughter. But Michael is different. He accepts me completely. As the AI team leader at Google's NYC office, he's both intelligent and kind. Behind those black-rimmed glasses, his eyes are always filled with warm affection. In our 2 years of marriage, we've built our peaceful life together with our golden retriever, Max, in our White House in a quiet Long Island neighborhood. However, the monthly Sunday brunch is unavoidable. At the Smith, an upscale restaurant, Mother Patricia, my sister Ashley, and me. Mother, with her perfectly sculpted face wrapped in luxury brands, maintains a youthful appearance that belies her 58 years. A former Goldman Sachs vice president, she now lives luxuriously in an Upper East Side mansion after retirement, flaunting her influence in social circles. Ashley, that new Chanel is lovely. Oh, this? My fiancé from Mount Sinai bought it for me. Mother and sister's conversation continues as if I'm not even there. Tall with model-like proportions, a face crafted through multiple cosmetic surgeries, and popularity as an Instagram influencer. Working as a nurse at Mount Sinai Hospital and now engaged to a young doctor, my sister is Mother's pride and joy. Is your husband really a Google employee? I bet he doesn't make even half of what my fiancé makes. Even when such malicious questions are thrown at me, I silently continue eating. It's always like this. I'm forced to order different course meals and only offered cheaper wines. This treatment has continued since childhood. Not invited to Thanksgiving. Excluded from family photos at Christmas parties. My sister's birthday celebrated with lavish parties at member-only clubs, while mine is completely ignored. Never once invited to the family's Hamptons vacation home. The harassment on social media is equally insidious. Mother's Facebook is filled with boasts about my sister, and I'm excluded from family photos. On my sister's Instagram, she deliberately avoids tagging me, continuously erasing me from family's happy moments. With hundreds of thousands of followers, my sister's social media seems to erase my very existence. Hey, Ashley, I'm hosting a party in the Hamptons next Saturday. Mother's friends will be there. Of course, bring your fiancé. I'm excluded again. But that's fine. Recently, family gatherings have become nothing but painful. On the way home, I always cry while hugging Max, burying my face in his soft fur. His warm body temperature soothes my heart. In the car heading to a property viewing, I contemplate. Despite my ability to close deals on luxury properties and earn the trust of celebrity clients, why won't my family acknowledge me? Michael says he's proud of his wife's talents. But Mother has never once praised my success. Looking up at the sunset reflecting off Manhattan's skyscrapers, I steel my resolve. I don't need to endure my family's treatment anymore. I have a loving husband and faithful Max. And the small hope in my belly that I haven't told anyone about yet. I first noticed something was off during a viewing of a $30 million penthouse overlooking Central Park. Sudden nausea overwhelmed me, and I rushed to the powder room. Gripping the luxury marble sink, I could see my face had turned pale in the mirror. These changes in my condition have been continuing recently. Are you all right, Mrs. Clark? The waiting client's worried voice came through the door. I took a deep breath and managed to respond, "Just a moment, please. For the past 2 weeks, I've been experiencing the same symptoms. The smell of morning coffee suddenly becoming unbearable, constant fatigue clinging to me. Yesterday, even the smell of my beloved bagels made me nauseous. As a top real estate salesperson handling ultra-luxury properties, such poor health could be devastating." The next day, in the waiting room of Manhattan Women's Health and Wellness, a prestigious clinic in the Upper East Side, I was nervously waiting for my appointment time. Crystal chandeliers sparkled in the waiting room, where refined classical music played. Everything in the space was perfectly arranged. But today, that silence felt heavy to me. "Mrs. Clark, please come in." Dr. Sarah Morrison, dressed in her white coat, a veteran female doctor with over 30 years of experience at this clinic, greeted me with a warm smile. After detailed questioning and examinations, she delivered the diagnosis in a gentle tone. "Congratulations, Mrs. Clark. You're 6 weeks pregnant." In the pristine white examination room, I couldn't believe my ears. A baby. My and Michael's baby. On the examination table, my hand instinctively touched my small belly. There, surely, a new life was growing. We could confirm the heartbeat. "Everything looks very good. You'll need regular checkups from now on, but there are no concerning findings at present. Since you seem to be having difficult morning sickness symptoms, I'll prescribe some medication for you." Walking home along Fifth Avenue, I couldn't stop crying. This little life. It's proof of our love. The sunlight reflecting off the high rises felt like a blessing. But at the same time, imagining Mother and my sister's reactions made my chest tighten. Would they celebrate this blessing? Or would they throw hurtful words at me as usual? That evening, I decided to tell Michael on our home terrace. Placing a glass of sparkling water instead of white wine beside me, I watched the Long Island twilight sky while waiting for his return. Max was sleeping contentedly at my feet. The scent of lavender planted in the garden wafted on the early summer breeze. "Jenny, I'm home." Turning to Michael's voice, I saw he was holding a bouquet of bright red roses. Though my husband often surprised me, there wasn't supposed to be any special occasion today. "Is today some anniversary?" I asked, but he shook his head. "I just wanted to see you." Under the candlelight on the terrace, I quietly announced, "Michael, we're having a baby." A moment of silence. Then, large tears fell from his eyes. "Jenny, really?" He held me tightly. In his embrace, my tears also flowed. "Thank you, Jenny. This is the best gift ever." That night, we talked about our future. How to decorate the baby's room, what names to consider. We made plans to convert the upstairs study into a charming nursery and researched how to train Max to get used to the baby. Wrapped in almost blinding happiness, there was still an unavoidable reality before us. Telling the family. Mother's 60th birthday party. I want to announce it there. At my words, Michael's expression turned worried. "Are you sure?" Considering her personality. "Yes. There's no need to hide anymore. I have to be strong for this child." 2 weeks later. Mother's birthday party began in a private room at the 3 Michelin-starred Le Bernardin. Champagne was poured into crystal glasses, and appetizers featuring foie gras, caviar, and truffles were served one after another. Under the soft chandelier light, in the refined atmosphere unique to the upper class, I was seated at a table on the edge. "Everyone, thank you for gathering here today." Mother stood up. Her Chanel tweed jacket gleamed elegantly. Under her perfect makeup, traces of plastic surgery were faintly visible. "On my 60th birthday, I have wonderful news to share." My heart raced. Was this the chance to announce? But Mother's next words made my blood run cold. "We will hold the engagement ceremony for my beloved youngest daughter, Ashley, here today." My sister showed off her engagement ring from the young cardiac surgeon. The 5-carat diamond sparkled in the chandelier light. Tears glistened in Mother's eyes. This is exactly the kind of marriage I envisioned. A brilliant doctor from Mount Sinai and my beloved daughter. Applause erupted from those around us. The prominent members of society offered their congratulations one after another. Amidst this, I strengthened my resolve. There was no need to hide this small life's existence anymore. No matter what Mother might say. The new life growing inside me had already given me great courage. The soft chandelier light cast a dreamlike atmosphere in Lou Bernardine's private room. A row of Bollinger's Special Cuvée champagne quietly sparkled on the table. In the air buzzing with excitement over my sister's engagement announcement, I took a deep breath. If I let this moment pass, I would surely regret it. I also have something to share." My trembling voice echoed in the private room. Michael gently squeezed my hand. Drawing courage from that warmth, I continued. We're having a baby." For a moment, time seemed to stop. Mother's wine glass was slowly placed on the table. Her perfectly groomed eyebrows twisted in displeasure. "What did you say?" Mother's voice already contained a dangerous tone. Her shoulders trembled slightly under her Chanel tweed jacket. "I'm 6 weeks pregnant. The doctor said everything is progressing well." Silence. Mother's shout reverberated throughout the room. Her Christian Louboutin heels struck the floor violently. The sound squeezed my heart. Why now? The first grandchild should have been Ashley's child. A wine glass tipped over, deep red wine seeping into the tablecloth. Mother's surgically enhanced face was grotesquely distorted with anger. "How dare you do something so presumptuous? You're not fit to raise a child." Mother's verbal abuse continued. The surrounding guests watched us with confused expressions. My sister observed with a malicious smile, making her engagement ring sparkle. "Aren't you ashamed? A failure like you becoming a mother." Large tears fell from my eyes. Michael protectively embraced my shoulders. "Get rid of it immediately. I won't accept such a child. It will only bring shame to the family." Suddenly, Mother stood up. Her 10-centimeter bright red Louboutin heels charged toward me. She was clearly aiming for my belly. "I'll take care of this shameful child myself." Screams erupted, and the room froze. Michael moved to protect me. I instinctively covered my abdomen with both hands, desperately trying to protect the small life dwelling there. Through tear-blurred vision, I saw Mother's heel rise. Was this moment the culmination of 32 years of suffering? The thoughtless words since childhood, deliberate ignorance, exclusion from family events, harassment on social media. All the pain seemed to be condensed into this instant. "Please, not the baby." My trembling voice echoed faintly. I closed my eyes. That's when it happened. Patricia, is this what you want? A low, heavy voice resonated. A man stood at the entrance. Father. Why was he here, when he was usually absent on overseas business trips? Mother's movement stopped. Her face drained of color, turning increasingly pale. Robert, why are you? Father slowly walked into the room. His figure, dressed in a Brooks Brothers suit, carried more dignity than usual. His footsteps echoed heavily. Everything you've done has been recorded. Father's cold voice dominated the room. The harassment on social media, threatening emails, exclusion from family events. Security cameras have recorded your daily verbal abuse as well. We have perfect evidence of years of psychological abuse. Mother's hands began to shake. Her 5-carat diamond ring cast irregular light. Her fingers intertwined tightly. Starting tomorrow, the following will be implemented. Father continued while taking out his smartphone. Immediate dismissal from the Metropolitan Opera Board. Removal of director rights from the Madison Avenue Charitable Foundation. And, Father paused for a moment, complete banishment from society. No, impossible, my life. Mother's voice cracked. You will also vacate the Upper East Side mansion immediately. Legal proceedings have already been completed. Moving companies will arrive at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Mother nearly collapsed, with my sister hurriedly supporting her, but Father's sanctions continued mercilessly. All credit cards will be immediately suspended. American Express Centurion? Already confiscated. Bank accounts are frozen. Only minimal living expenses will be provided. The Mercedes-Benz will be returned. The Cartier jewelry collection will also be confiscated. From now on, you'll live in an apartment I've arranged in Queens. 3 months' rent has already been paid. But, my position, in society. You brought this upon yourself, Father coldly declared. What have you done these past 32 years? You've only oppressed your eldest daughter, spoiled your younger daughter, and lived a life of vanity and pretense. Then he turned to my sister. Ashley, you too will face appropriate consequences. My sister's expression froze. The sparkle of her engagement ring suddenly seemed empty. Your special treatment at Mount Sinai Hospital ends now. I've already agreed with the hospital on your demotion to a position matching your actual abilities. I've also explained everything to your fiancé. He seems to understand your true nature now. The grand wedding? Cancelled. And your activities as an Instagram influencer end today. Your account will be frozen. It's time for your followers to know the truth. The air in the private room grew heavy. The champagne bubbles quietly disappeared. This is my judgment. No objections will be accepted. Everything will be implemented starting tomorrow. Father's words echoed as the final blow. Under the chandelier light, everyone seemed to have forgotten to breathe. Suddenly, Mother turned to face me. In her eyes floated an emotion I had never seen before. Fear? Regret? Or? I realized I was still unconsciously protecting my abdomen. Who would have thought this small life would become the catalyst for changing our entire life story? 3 weeks after that night, Mother stood alone by the window in her old Queens apartment. Unlike her former luxury apartment, the constant noise of trains echoed through the 6th-floor room. Her Chanel tweed jacket had been confiscated, and her figure wrapped in a Uniqlo cardigan looked like a different person entirely. Her face without makeup showed deep wrinkles I had never seen before. From the window, she could see commuters passing by. Mother, who once only moved by private car, was now forced to use the subway. Contacts who used to gather at Metropolitan Museum charity events had all suddenly ceased communication. Forced to face this reality, Mother was compelled to reflect on her life for the first time. Later, we learned that Michael had been in close contact with Father for a year. He had persistently worked to gather evidence of Mother and my sister's abuse and help Father understand the gravity of the situation. Every Friday night, in video calls connecting Singapore and New York, the two had spent hours in conversation. At first, I couldn't believe it, Father confided in me. But the evidence Michael sent, social media posts, surveillance camera footage, email exchanges. Seeing it all, I was ashamed of my ignorance and negligence. My responsibility for overlooking their treatment of you weighs heavily. Father, who had been too absorbed in establishing the Singapore branch office to notice his family's distortion. When he received Michael's first contact, he was skeptical. However, as evidence accumulated, he came to understand the severity of the situation. In particular, the security camera footage capturing my exclusion from family events deeply moved Father's heart. Your husband is truly a remarkable man, tears rarely seen appeared in Father's eyes. He contacted me weekly and took action to protect you. When he learned of your pregnancy, he immediately informed me. And he suggested the most appropriate timing for sanctions. Everything at Mother's birthday party had been calculated. Father had already returned to the country and was waiting in the room next to the restaurant's private dining room. He had somewhat anticipated Mother's violent reaction. Michael had analyzed Mother's personality and anticipated the worst possible response to the pregnancy announcement. To be honest, Michael confessed to me, I was carefully choosing the moment when the abuse would come to light. By exposing your mother's true nature in front of society's elite, we aimed for maximum impact. Your father agreed with this strategy. Meanwhile, my sister Ashley faced a crisis with her engagement. At Mount Sinai Hospital, her lack of ability was exposed. Criticized for lacking basic medical knowledge, she was ordered to restart from resident level. The special treatment she had received through Mother's connections was gone, and she had to face the reality of competing solely on her merits. Her young doctor fiancé, having learned her true nature, began to distance himself. Her social media followers also turned against her with criticism. Comments like fake life and privileged class tyranny flooded in. Her account, which once boasted hundreds of thousands of followers, fell silent like a graveyard. Sis. One day, my sister visited my home. Her bare face without makeup looked somewhat innocent. The luxury brand bags and perfect makeup were no longer there. I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry. The words my sister spoke through tears carried more weight than I had imagined. How she had become distorted trying to meet Mother's expectations. The days she spent drowning in her social media persona, playing a role without substance. And the guilt of continuously hurting her own sister. Everything poured out like a broken dam. I'm going to restart from the basics as a nurse. Until now, I was just relying on Mother's connections. But from now on, with my own strength. After 3 months, signs of change began to appear. Mother started attending counseling twice a week, confronting her self-centered personality. She began volunteer work at a senior center in Queens, experiencing for the first time what it meant to work for others. She encountered human warmth she never would have known when wrapped in luxury brands. I was wrong. Mother's voice had lost its former sharp tone. By continuously denying you, I was trying to maintain my own value. I'm truly sorry for being such a foolish mother. Every night, I lie awake remembering who I used to be. My sister earnestly committed herself to relearning from the basics. Having lost her special privileges, she began walking the path of a nurse solely on her own merits. She spent late nights with medical textbooks and dedicated her holidays to practicing clinical skills. She deleted all her social media accounts and began examining her authentic self. 2 months before my due date, under Father's supervision, we had a family meal together. Not at a luxury restaurant, but at a small Italian place in Queens. The table held simple but heartfelt dishes. Mother brought a homemade apple pie. Though misshapen, its gentle sweetness brought tears to my eyes. "Would you let me help prepare the baby's room?" Mother tentatively asked, her eyes red and swollen. "It won't make up for everything, but I want to properly support you as a nurse too," my sister added in a small voice. "I'm studying hard now about caring for pregnant women." From that day, relationships slowly began to move forward. Mother and my sister wrote sincere letters of apology and demonstrated concrete actions of atonement. Father watched over them strictly but warmly. At monthly family meetings, he confirmed their progress in reform. Gradually, restrictions were eased. One day, with just 2 weeks until my due date, we were organizing baby items together in the nursery. Small socks knitted by Mother, a soft-colored blanket chosen by my sister. On the walls hung lovely animal pictures selected by the whole family. "This child's birth has changed our family," Father murmured. "From now on, we can be a family bound by genuine love." I nodded while touching my grown belly. This small life had reconnected our distorted family with genuine bonds. Though it wasn't an easy journey, we had taken a definite step toward hope. A year has passed since then. Our living room in Long Island was filled with family smiles celebrating William's first birthday. "Happy birthday, William." Everyone blew out the cake candles together with Father's voice. It wasn't a lavish party like before. Just homemade cake and simple dishes. But the happiness there was irreplaceable. William was born last summer as scheduled. A healthy boy weighing 6 pounds. When his first cry rang out, the room was filled with joy. Mother held his tiny hand while crying, and my sister provided professional care as a nurse. Such a precious being, back then. Mother's words trailed off, but we understood. The year that began with those sanctions had brought significant changes to each member of our family. Mother now works officially as a volunteer coordinator at the Queens Senior Center. Her former arrogant attitude has disappeared, and she interacts with facility residents with a warm smile. She learned for the first time the joy of living for others. My sister Ashley continued to grow earnestly as a nurse. Though relearning from basics wasn't easy, her efforts bore fruit, and she's now a trusted presence in the emergency ward. I feel proud of my sister who now values patient smiles more than social media follower counts. Father remains strict but has come to value family time. It's heartwarming to see him playing with William on FaceTime between video conferences with the Singapore branch. "Look, another new tooth is coming in." Mother lifts William with a smile. Homemade toys and picture books are scattered around him. A scene she would have once dismissed as undignified now brings the most joyful expression to her face. Max has also behaved wisely, becoming the baby's good guardian. Sometimes he stares longingly at William's baby food with a bored expression, but he seems to proudly watch over our happy family. "Hey, remember," my sister suddenly spoke up. "Us back then, how foolish we were." The table is filled with Mother's homemade pasta and healthy recipes my sister learned during her training. Maybe it can't compare to luxury restaurant cuisine. But this warmth was what we had been seeking all along. So this is what true happiness is. Tears shine in Mother's eyes again. But they're tears of joy. A genuine smile she had never shown before in her life appeared on her face. Michael gently embraces my shoulder. His decision and actions created this happiness. Father's strict sanctions and mother and sister's sincere remorse. And above all, William's presence taught our family about true bonds. Mama. William's first word fills the room with cheers. Outside the window, the soft twilight light was streaming in. The lavender in the garden carried its gentle fragrance. This is our new normal. Here was genuine happiness that money and status could never buy. May these happy moments continue forever. We all sincerely nodded at Father's quiet prayer. William's innocent smile. It seemed to herald the beginning of a new chapter for our family.